And we're live. Hey everyone, happy event day, I guess. How's everyone doing? Let me know in the chat. Make sure that you can hear me okay. Let me know if it needs to go up or down or anything like that. I think the picture's not looking too bad today, maybe a little bit darker than normal, but I'm happy with it. So, hey, how did everyone enjoy the event? I was watching it on my iPad at work on my lunch hour, and the connection kept dropping, so that was fun. But yeah, let me know down in the comments if you can hear me okay. That would be really good to know. Yay, it's Dave. I'm right here for you guys. Cool, audio is fine. That means we can crack on with it. Let's have a quick look at the questions that we've already got in the chat. We might as well start there. And then we'll have a chat about the event. Let me know any questions that you've got. But here we go. Patton the Apple Gamer has put, I need advice. I need a video editor basic for now and a photo editor. Would an M1 Max be enough, or should I get the Ultra? And honestly, in this case, I would say just go for a Mac Mini M1 at the minute, because it's absolutely enough for what you're asking about there. I think that is good. Andrew Davis is disappointed. What were you hoping for, Andrew? Let me know down in the comments. Peter Elliott is a bit poorer now. What did you order, Peter? I need to know. I know that Thomas Ravenstein has ordered himself an M1 Max Studio. That sounds pretty cool to me. One interesting thing here, yeah, they wouldn't let you get just a Pro in there, which is a bit exciting. Linda Lawson, Linda here squealing with delight. Linda, what are you after? Are you going for a Max? Are you going Ultra? What are we doing? Daisy in the Rain, hey, how are you doing? Who else have we got? Thomas Ravenstein just turned midnight in Germany. Oh my word, sorry sir. Yes, I was at work all evening, so yeah, I've just had to kind of jump on now. Peter Elliott, Studio Max, good job, sir. Good job. But yeah, I don't think it's overpriced. I'll be honest with you. I mean, yes, it is a little bit more expensive than like an iMac would be, things like that. But it's a different league of device that we're talking about here. Did anyone else notice that the Studio display is just an old iMac? It's the 27-inch iMac display, True Tone, blah blah blah. It's got the nicer speakers. It's got a better webcam. It's an iMac display, and it's $1,599. That seems a bit expensive to me. Not impressed by the display, I'll be honest. Is it a good display panel? Yes. It's going to look great? Yes. But I don't think it's worthwhile. Patton the Apple Gamer, no 27-inch anymore, Dave. What do you mean? What, have they got rid of the iMac? Pretty sure they haven't. I was looking on the website, but let's have a quick look now. Let's just double check that. Oh, so the 27-inch iMac did get taken off the website, like just after the event. That wasn't taken off right at the beginning. That is crazy. Okay. So yeah, I was surprised that it was still there when I looked on my iPhone. Literally as the event finished and the store went back up, the iMac 27-inch was still there. It's gone. Wow. Michael Moy, I'd love to see the Geekbench 5 numbers on the Ultra. You're in luck, my friend. They've already dropped. So, Mac Rumors has got this. The performance numbers on it. Single core, pretty much as we'd expect, 1793. Multi-core score, 24055, which is 21% faster than the 28-core Xeon version of the Mac Pro. Pretty impressive. So, I even used the cough button. So yeah, pretty immense scores. So yeah, it doesn't have ProMotion. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that this 5K display is exactly the one from the old iMacs that they've now discontinued. That's the case. So yeah, the display is 60 Hz, no 120 Hz, none of that good stuff. But yeah, the Studio itself, pretty epic. And so that's 24,055. Absolute beast of a machine. I haven't seen any scores yet on the graphics, but that's going to be pretty tasty as well. It's 80% faster than the Radeon W6900X, which is, I think, yeah, that's the top of the line one. Yeah. So, I did actually do a little bit of research as well before this, and it was November that I was talking. It was November 2020, so think about 4 days after Apple Silicon itself dropped for the first time that I said for the Mac Pros, which I guess this is close, would have multiple M series chips inside. And everyone told me, no, there's no way you can do the interconnect. There's no way you can get it fast enough. I was right, guys. I was right. Michael Moy, Alder Lake is 12,900 to 18,000 range. Yep, this is faster. I think they said pretty clearly this is the fastest consumer chip that you can buy, or the fastest chip in a consumer system that you can buy. So, yeah, it doesn't look like they were lying. I'm very excited to see what happens when Linus Tech Tips, people like that, actually get their hands on one of these and test it. Like, what's their response going to be to something this fast that is Mac only? That's they were blown away by M1. They thought M1 Pro and M1 Max was pretty good, but this is just next level. So, Michael Moy, I'd expect the graphics to scale linearly, so 130k on OpenCL. The highest runs around 200,000 in AMD and Nvidia. Still pretty good going. Ultra compared to the 3090. We'll find out, but you can't even just compare it to a 3090 because 3090 is different depending on what chassis you put it in. Like a laptop 3090 is different to a desktop 3090, is different to an actively cooled 3090 with, you know, all the other stuff going on. But, yeah. And yeah, these things just look immense. Gaming, yes, Peter Elliott, waiting for games with metal support. 100%. That's what we... Sorry, you guys, I've got a bit of a cough, but I will try and mute myself for all these. Mac Pros for another time. Yeah, I mean, the fact they even nodded their hat to say Mac Pro's coming as well, basically, I would almost certainly say that probably means WWDC. We're going to see it at least, and then I think that is going to be the December release. Still a little bit disappointed we didn't see any M2. However, even though we didn't, we know that a MacBook and another desktop were registered with the EEC. There's no reason we might not get an April event. There's no reason to say that we wouldn't. We could have that. So, fingers crossed. Right, we have a couple of questions here. They claimed about 21 teraflops of GPU processing, so about 2 PS5s worth. Pretty good. Graham Parker, question. Do you think that the studio being announced means that this is the replacement for my 2015 27-inch 5K iMac? So is there no point in waiting for a 27-inch new iMac? Not sure. It's a difficult question to ask. Difficult question to answer. I think this is kind of what the iMac Pro would have been. I'm kind of the mindset that this is a better option for most people, and that's because there's no reason that people would need to update their display every single time. The displays don't change that much from generation to generation. 5K is already more than pretty much any PC manufacturer is doing in their displays. Yes, you can get 8K displays. There's almost nothing that will run it smoothly. 5K is just a fantastic resolution because it means you can work on 4K content and you've got a little bit of screen real estate that you can do other stuff on. However, honestly, when they were making all this fuss about the display, yes, it's a lovely display. It's a great display. It's going to look great. It's got True Tone and it's got all of the other stuff. It's not new. They've been selling this exact panel since, well, I guess this exact panel, it might have gone through some slight changes with things like the True Tone, but I think that's more about software. But they've basically been doing this exact panel since 2013, 2014, when they went 5K. This is not anything like revolutionary for Apple. It's just the fact that they've actually got a connector now that you can feed it with, because 5K was so quick. 5K was so high resolution at the time, you couldn't even send it as a single display output. It was basically two displays stitched together in software, in terms of the way that it was kind of fed information, which is interesting. I would have thought, if they've got these 27-inch panels, I mean, I think there's a good argument here that this is kind of sitting in the place of the 27-inch iMac, because obviously I don't think Apple wanted to replace it directly, but I think there's going to be people who are going to buy this Mac Studio as their main unit, use it with whatever displays they want, maybe use it with a Pro Display XDR, maybe use it with these Studio displays, but I think the Studio display really is the one that is kind of aimed more at consumers, but it's still $1,600, and that's quite a lot for an external display. But we'll see what happens there. Let's see what else we've got in the chat here. Get some vapor rub, Dave. Yeah, I'm not congested. I've just got like a rough throat. Been talking to people all day. It was a long day at work, so that's all that is. Don't worry, I'm not dying. 27-inch iMac is now officially dead or replaced by the the Mac Studio. Yeah, I mean that's the situation right now. We'll see what happens in the future. Sharon B, they might bring out a 27-inch larger M1 iMac, like the M2 iMac will have two sizes. Possible. I would think if they're gonna go for the larger size, that they will have an integrated version. Maybe we get M1 Pro in the 24-inch, but not M1 Max. And if you want the Max, then that's when you go up to the Studio. Maybe that's how it's gonna work. We will see. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a strange arrangement. I would also have to say, but where's my MacBook? Which amused people after the WWDC last time. That was how I opened with the video, because we were all expecting the MacBook Pros at last WWDC. Obviously, we've got another WWDC coming up in just a few months now, 3 months. So there's gonna be more stuff coming. I think that is when we'll probably see the Mac Pro itself, and that is probably going to have a pair of these chips. I have to do a big shout out to Frederick Orange, I believe it is, who's put some great stuff together on Twitter that was showing that interconnect. The bit that Apple said they'd been keeping a top secret that other people had seen before. So I don't think that's I think it's impressive that he'd managed to already get the drop on Apple with that. The interconnect that they use in the Ultra Fabric, is it? What do they call it in the show? We'll see. But let's have a quick look what else here we've got. The iMac question is interesting. You only need one cable between them so your desk isn't cluttered. The Mac gives you deep value, though, as buying the iMac is a lot less than buying the components. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. The pricing for iMacs is always actually really compelling, especially when you look at the components themselves. The 24-inch iMac is 4.5K. This is 5K. The iMac starts at $12.99. That's just bonkers cheap for what it is. And it's basically the same display technology. So that's why, I mean, if Apple just gave you a way to do a video input into that 24-inch iMac, that would make a better monitor, I would say. Let's have a look what else we got here. Terry Clare, do you think they are saving the M1 Pro for the plain M1 mini chassis? That's a possibility. I mean, I never thought that they would do an M1 Max and not allow you to have a Pro version, because why would they? There is no desktop version of the M1 Pro. That's just surprising. But yes, that might be what they're going to do. Maybe there was an issue in terms of the maybe there was actually an issue in terms of cooling in the newer, smaller chassis, and that's what they're doing. Maybe the smaller one will just stay with the M series chips. That'd be fine. What else we should check is, although the iMac with Intel is gone, is there still an Intel Mac Mini available? Let's see. Or have they killed that too? No, Intel Mac Minis are still there. That suggests to me that we are going to get the option of having a Mac Mini with a more powerful chip still. So, the fact that that's still there, that's promising. That means we could well get an M1 Pro at least, if not an M1 Max in there. But then M1 Max maybe in a Mac Mini, but it has less connectivity? Perhaps. Let me know your thoughts down in the chat. Mark Sequence, so the iMac Pro was indeed a stopgap. Yes, it was always a stopgap. It was never going to be anything more than that. I really didn't think iMac Pro was the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if what we've been hearing about before, about the mini LED displays that have been bounded out as being an iMac Pro, might just be another display size or a more premium display. This could be the studio. This could be a different one. In the past, the studio display was always like one down from the cinema display, so maybe cinema display is coming back. We will see. Maybe that's going to be the bigger one. So let's see what else we've got. No mini LED, big bummer. Yeah, it would have been a lot more expensive. Maybe a new panel with the new Mac Pro. Yeah, there's been talk of a 36-inch panel that would come with that, and that would be our... What was that? That was going to be the mini LED version, or the kind of Pro Display XDR style, which is kind of nearly mini LED, but not quite, because of the number of dimming zones. Let's see what else we've got here. So, no iMac 27 inches this year. They said clear at the end of the presentation. Only the Mac Pro is left to come. Only the Mac Pro is left to come in the M1 series. Let's just make that very clear. They didn't say that there is no more Apple Silicon to come, or no more sizes. I don't think iMac Pro is a thing. 27-inch iMac could still come. I would say that's quite possible. So let's see, what else have we got? Do we think the new Mac Pro Tower will change its name to Studio Pro? Possible. I think Mac Pro is just iconic enough, though, that they will probably keep it. But we'll see on that. On that front, I would like them to bring back the Power Mac name, to be completely honest. It doesn't need to refer to Power PC, it just means it's a powerful Mac. What do we think of iPhone SE needs a... What do we got? iPhone SE needs a higher res screen. Size is okay. It doesn't. It's Retina. You can't see the pixels on it. It makes no difference at all. Even if you put more pixels in there, Peter, you're not going to notice it. It's not going to look any sharper because of the distance that you actually hold it away from your face. Michael Moy, there was a discussion on Mac rumours, and it's supposed to be a lot better than Infinity Fabric. So that's the interconnect between the chips. Doesn't surprise me at all. When Apple's doing their own stuff from scratch, they're probably going to update that as well each generation, and yeah, it's going to be pretty bonkers. Gaza. Does this mean that you can get exactly this display for cheaper in a 24-inch Mac? No, because the 24-inch iMac is 24 inches, this is 27 inches. The smaller iMac is 4.5K, and this is 5K. This is just the old display from the 27-inch iMac. For the iPhone SE, wish it was the plus size from patent. Yeah, it'd be interesting to do a plus size one, but the whole point of this is to make it cheaper, and the plus size ones, as far as I know, never sold as well as the regular ones. Graham Parker, as Thomas Ravenstein said, Johnny was clear at the end when he said only the Mac Pro is left to come. We will see. Saran's here. How you doing, mate? Hoping Apple's claims of better battery life is true. That's for the SE. Now, I think it will be because, let's be honest, we've got the A15 inside here, and that was the big difference between the 12 mini and the 13 mini. Yes, the battery increased in size a little bit, but not enough to justify the change in battery life. The A15 is just a lot more efficient. So let's see what else we've got. Yes, Mac Mini Intel is still up. Yep, I had a quick look and that's still there. Yield of the Max chip might be better than expected, therefore fewer cut down chips. Yeah. Right, let's see what else we've got. Cerambyte will probably get an M1 Pro. Do you think that'll be in the Mac Mini, Saran? I think that's probably the case. No Mini Max, please, Apple. Would have gone for a Studio Pro. Didn't realise the Intel iMac was gone. No, it wasn't immediately after the event. They took it down after that. Because I posted a screenshot immediately after the event when the store went back up and it was still there. Surprising. I think the Mini tops out at the Pro at the most. Fair enough, that makes sense. Evan Rogers, Super Chat. Thank you very much, sir. Am I buying the Mac Studio? And wow, the M1 iPad. I'm probably not going to be buying a Mac Studio. Money is tight right now. Mark Sequence Studio Display, Cinema Display XDR. Yeah, not bad an idea on the naming there. Rob Dunford. Sorry for ruining your name. Wonder if the new display could be hooked up to an Apple TV via a dongle. I would have loved it if one of the things that the A13 inside could do is Apple TV content. That would be really good if you could just do that natively, but obviously if you've got a Mac attached to it, then you've got Apple TV anyway built in. Let's see, what else have we got? 32-inch iMac, yeah, possibly. PowerPC still exists. There may be copyright issues with the Power name, Peter. I doubt it. From a marketing point of view, Power VR chips were out there for a while. I don't think there'd be a drama with that. John Malkin think they'll keep the Mac Pro name. Yeah, they probably will. But I think a Power Mac would be a great name again to bring back, as we're going back to some of these older names and stuff as well. Anyone here in shot that the iPad Air has M1? 95 Mac were reporting it. I didn't believe it. Saran, yeah, we were sort of both discussing this going, but why? And my response is still, but why? Because for the majority of stuff that an iPad does, the A15 would have been a better choice. But maybe they're just trying to differentiate it from the iPad Mini. I'm not sure. The A15 will have quicker single-core performance. This will have massively more multi-core performance. But how often are you using it in an iPad at the moment? My only thought was, are they putting the M1 in there so that they can do more of the Pro apps that we've been expecting for many years? That's the only thing that comes to mind is, do they need an M series chip in order to run things like Final Cut, Logic, Aperture if they bring it back, stuff like that. Maybe that's something that's going on. But there we go. So everyone was surprised by that. What else have we got here? Safety Mark. They said the M1 Ultra is the last in the M1 family. So what would they put in the Mac Pro? 2 of them. Simples. Patton the Gamer. I have the M1 iPad Pro, so I won't be getting it, but might buy it for my family. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, why? Saran's done a great video on this already. That's basically saying, get an older iPad Pro, and it's better. But yeah, I don't see the need for it. I'm still quite happy with mine, although I did tweet that I was just going to throw it in the bin because it's obviously just trash now. So let's see. The M1 Ultra is the last in the family. Yeah, we got that. Let's see what else we got. Next iPad Pro will have M2. Yeah, almost certainly. That makes all the sense in the world. Peter Elliott, A15 could be underclocked in the SE. Yeah, it could be. I don't think it needs to be, though. I don't think it actually needs to be at all. It may have less RAM. That's one thing they might have done that would save some battery. Praying for a base of 256 gigs of storage in the iPad Pro. I doubt that's going to happen. A13 in the studio display, a lot of horsepower for a monitor. Yeah, so Stuart, this is for things like Center Stage that runs the camera in there, which is the same chip that they've put into the base iPads right now. That's also got this this tech. It's also for the spatial audio, all that sort of stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff that it does that's beyond just being a monitor, so it does kind of make sense. When do we think we will get the the MacBook Air? This is from Account 2. MacBook Air, I think, is going to be later in the year. I think we are probably still going to get M2 before the MacBook Air comes out. I don't think they're going to drop everything together. Will the price bump to $429 have any effect on the sales of the SE? No, I think it's probably just based on inflation. It's $30 more, and that's like a couple of years later. What's the percentage on that? That's like 6% more expensive, something like that, I think. I'm not good at maths. Michael Moy will probably know percentages immediately for me, because he's good at that. USB Thunderbolt 4 support down the road. What's odd is that the iPad Air didn't get the True Tone flash that the Mini has. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, Saran. We need to get that ring light on it, so it's the full influencer version, and then we need a iPad version of Instagram for them. So let's get on that. Extra RAM will be handy, but rather than 3 gigabytes of RAM, it has 8. Is that on the A15? Really? Wow. Could be putting binned M1 chips into the iPad. That's a really good point, actually. Could well be. Maybe they've got a bit of overstock on that, but then the MacBook Air M1, easily the most popular of the MacBooks, and the cheapest one will be the most popular of the lineup, so maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Mac Pro might be M2 based. Yeah, that's quite possible, although they mentioned it in the M1 series. We'll see. I could trade it in, Dave. Oh, you mean my iPad Air? No, it has to just go in the garbage. It's but an A14 chip, and we know that that's pointless now for anyone. What's the point in putting an M1 in an iPad running iPad OS? Well, because it's faster. It doesn't really matter whether you think it needs it or not. It will render things faster. If you're doing video editing, it will do that faster. If you're doing AR stuff, it will do that faster. AR might be part of the point here, because Apple is putting M1 potentially into the AR headsets, and it might be to get more experience with doing AR stuff with that. Do you think the Max and Ultra will be clocked higher in a desktop chassis than the big cooler? Yes. No, I don't think they're clocked higher. I think there's just more of it, and so it will produce more heat, and it will have more cooling, and that makes sense. I don't think they need to clock them up. In fact, I don't think they really overclock anything. It's very, very slight tweaks. For the individual cores, it's just how many cores have you got. Let's see what we got. 2 Ultras. They said using 2 separate CPUs has limitations, and devs would need to rewrite their software. Doesn't make sense for 2 Ultras in a Mac Pro. I bet it does. I think they were kind of throwing people off the scent a little bit there. Yes, devs might have to rewrite their software, or you could just put different processors on each completely, which would be interesting as well. And Apple would optimize all of their own software to run across the 2 completely seamlessly. James Hart is a 7.5% increase in price, but crosses the $4,000 barrier, which £400 barrier, which might put people off on the SE. James, has the SE gone up to $429 in the UK? Let's have a look. because that is going to be interesting, because UK prices tend to be slightly lower. Let's see. Oh, I haven't got the UK site up. That will /UK. Choose a colour first. Oh, we've gone to Midnight Starlight in product red instead of black, white and product red. I see. So it's $4.19 in the UK. It's not $4.30. It's $4.19. So just to be clear on that one. Yes, it does push it over the £400 mark, but most people in the UK that get a phone still at this point, especially of this sort of price, are going to be getting a monthly deal anyway. So there we go. Will the Mac Mini not get the M1 Pro or Max? Probably won't get the Max if that's in the studio, but probably will get an M1 Pro option. Cerambite, not going to lie, that Alpine Green Pro is tempting. I wish they released that colour at launch. Yeah, it does look good. I did like it. Can you connect more than two M1 Max with the fabric for the Mac Pro? It's two M1 Max that's in... or you mean more than that? Possibly, although they've got one interconnected each. I wonder if it might be 5 and they have a different chip that goes in the middle. Wonder. Maybe I'll get a Mac Studio M1 Max video editing and the music production. €23.49 is not that much. Fair enough, if it's not that much to you, awesome. Evan Rogers, thank you again for the super chat. The studio display, is it a waste of money or have real value? It depends. It depends is the answer that I can give you. If you've got access to a 5K iMac that will work with universal control, I would say get one of those used and pop it on your desk, because that's the panel. I'm almost certain that's exactly the same panel. Let's see. Does the iPad Air have ProMotion? No, it's 60 Hz, and it's not a mini LED display either. So just to be clear on that, it's not a high speed display. 2018 iPad Pro, 1TB, amazing value, but when will iOS be better updated to manage memory and the interface? The interface isn't going to change. The iPad interface is absolutely fine. It's not a Mac. It's not supposed to be a Mac. I think this is the problem, is everyone is expecting the iPad OS to become a Mac because they think that's how things should work, but it's not. It's its own thing. It doesn't need to be the same. It just needs to work. And in all honesty, people need to adjust to the fact that it's a different operating system, and rather than trying to do everything the same way that they do now and complaining that it doesn't work that way. It's not supposed to. James Apple, Saran, I had to look at my Sierra Blue, however, this is I have a 1TB storage. I had other plans, might trade my 12 Pro for that green 13 Max. Okay, cool. The green Pro Max does look good. Right, let's see what else we've got. Andy Cowboy, overpriced. Nope. Tell me what PC hardware can go this fast, and then we'll talk about it. M1 going into more products. Where are we here? M1 going into more products. Let's continue selling M1 chips. Yeah. So when the M2 does come out, I'm almost certain that we're going to keep M1 around, but it's going to be very much like with the iPad lineup and the iPhone lineup. If you look at what we've got right now, you've got the iPhone 13s full range, and then you've got the iPhone 12, and then you've got the iPhone 11 still available as well. The 10R's finally gone, right? I think it's gone. And then you go down to like your SEs. They didn't necessarily keep around the SE2 at a lower price, which a lot of people thought was going to happen. Don't know why. Don't know why that rumor was around, but maybe they didn't mention it because it's not going to be in the US. Maybe it is only for emerging markets. So that remains to be seen if we get that. But let's see. Studio Display has 6 speakers. Maybe the Mac Studio doesn't have a speaker. It will have a speaker. It will be the same as the Mac Minis, I would think. And it's basically for accessibility when you're setting the machine up. If you have reduced sight, for example, then you can use Siri as part of your setup process, and VoiceOver and things like that, so that you can actually get the thing set up. But just like with the Mac Mini, it's not a great speaker by any means. It's not there to be good. It's there to be helpful. Green Pro is looking like kryptonite right now. Okay. Evan Rogers, it's the rest of the iMac. Oh yes, yeah, I see what you mean. The Studio Display. Sorry guys, my voice is not doing well for me today. We might have to wrap this up in 10 minutes or so, but I wanted to get on tonight, even though it's a little bit later. Linda Lawson, I think the SE is brilliant too. I would have bought one if I hadn't already got a 13. Yeah, the SE is a great bit of kit, and to be honest, I think it's more to be a second phone for people. I think if you've got a business team working, if you need to have a work phone, it's a great option. Saran, hoping that the 14 Pro comes in Alpine Green on launch day. Nah, of course it won't, because you like it. Let's see what else we've got down here. James Apple is the 27-inch iMac is retired. Yes, it is. That seems to be the case. It doesn't necessarily mean forever, but it ain't here right now. We'll see what happens. What would you know? Let's see. Question: what would you know? This new Mac Studio with 4 Thunderbolt ports could hook up a very fast external SSD and get data from it just as fast as the internal SSD. I would be surprised if it will go that fast, because the internal stuff is so very fast. But it's going to be pretty quick anyway. Asking from a Lightroom user and previews, not wanting to spend the extra to get a 4TB internal. It's going to be quick. It's going to be quick enough, especially with SSDs, but it's not going to be as fast as the internal, because they're like 7.4 gigs a second or something. It's like a lot. Steve Jobs will be rolling in his grave at the idea of the iPad being a macOS substitute 3 times over. I don't know what you mean there. Sorry, dude. Oh yeah, it's not the same thing. Cool. Right. We'll just hit John Malkin's super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for being the most interactive channel. This is what I want to do. This is my big thing. And by the way, I am going to be talking on like a YouTube podcast with Dusty Porter in a couple of weeks. So we're doing an interview for him about how I kind of do the interaction and the engagement and stuff. So when that comes out, I will share the link, and it'd be great if you guys can go and sort of comment on it as well, so we can see. That'd be fun. The new M1 chip is faster than PC hardware, but it's down to architecture. Apple doesn't support a lot of cases you need to go to Windows for. That's not architecture stuff. That's a case of software isn't caught up to it yet. It's just new stuff. Want to get an M1 Air for my sweet half. Should I wait for the M2? Are you talking about MacBook or are you talking about iPad? Let me know, because that will affect it a lot. Evan Rogers, Dave, is the iMac Pro dead, or will it get the M1 Ultra chip? Look, I don't think M1, I don't think iPad, I've lost my brain now. I don't think iMac Pro was ever supposed to stay around. It was a fill-in between the 2013 and the 2019 Mac Pros. They basically said so at the time. Will they put it in an iMac? Maybe. I do think that having the studio set up actually makes more sense, though. Separate the display from the system, and it's a small system. It's not obtrusive, and I think that's probably a better idea. Perillo Designs, think of that. That kind of power in 4 litres approximately is unbelievable. Yeah, it really is. You ain't going to get a desktop PC that's close to the size or the power consumption that's going to perform anything close. Not even close. Big gap between the Mac Mini and the Studio, currently being filled by the Intel Mac Mini, still on the Apple Store. No, it's not, because the Intel Mac Mini performs worse than the M1. So it's not filling that gap in any way, shape or form, Will. James Hart, I really think the M2 is going to be based on the A16 instead of A15 if Apple keeps up the release pace from M1 to Ultra. For every A series, we'll start to see a few generations behind. I don't think they're going to. All of the delays, as far as I can see, have been about the designs coming out, not the chips. The chips are not the bottleneck here. It's display tech. And I think that this Studio display was originally probably going to be mini LED, and I don't think they could do it, so they've had to kind of switch to this. I don't think they can get enough of the mini LED stuff working in order to actually do it. That's my thoughts, and I think once all the new designs are out and that production bottleneck is taken care of, I think we will go to the annual updates of everything. And we know the M2 chips are already done because they've already been showing up in benchmarks. They've been out for a while. A16 isn't done. M2 is based on A15. Almost certainly. And Mark Gurman has mentioned it as well in benchmarks. It shows it as being 4 performance, 4 efficiency cores, and 10 GPUs. There's nothing else out there that does that. So, I do wish they'd release an M1 Pro Mac Studio version. Hey, Duke of Kidderminster. Hey, how you doing? Hadn't seen you there. Yeah, it would have been cool. What price would it have been? 1,500, maybe. Could be okay. Do you think someone will make a clear stand and make the Mac Studio look like a G4 Cube? I was thinking about doing this for Mac Mini a while ago, trying to get someone local to do Perspex Cube, basically. I hope someone does. Maybe me. Maybe me. Share a link for the interview for the podcast. I will do once I've done it. Yes, we'll be doing all of that stuff. Michael Moy, have you seen the pictures of people removing the displays on the MacBook Pros and using the bottom for speakers trackpad? Oh God, why are people doing that? That sounds awful. I hope people aren't doing that too much. Deepak Murthy, yes, I meant M1 MacBook Air. It's a tricky one. It's still a great piece of kit. If you can get one in the refurb store, do it. If you can't, or if you can't get it for like $900, $850, then I'd hold on. But they're going to start clearing that stock pretty soon. It's always going to be a great device, but the new MacBook Air is going to be very different looking. Much more colours. New iPhone SE at $429 or the iPhone 11 at $499. iPhone SE, because the 11 has got an A13 in it. This has got an A15 in it. The iPhone 11 has the same processor as the old SE. So yeah. Or try and get yourself, I would say like a 10R, but that's an A12 and it's getting a bit long in the tooth. iMac Pro is gone. iMac Pro has been gone for months, dude. That went like October? Before October? August? Jumping Jive. I can't wait to see the custom case and cooling solutions that people come up with for the studio. There's not going to be any custom cooling to do to it. Like, just leave it as it is. It will work great. I don't think it needs to go any cooler. They've been selling the Mac Studio to people that own a 27-inch iMac. Yep, I think you're right there. Mac Studio monitor with that center stage. That's pretty cool. That's the only thing about the monitor that I think is cool. Michael Moy, iMac Pro was 2017. They're still strong in demand in the used market. They don't last very long in my area. They make some good systems for people that want to game as well as do their work. Yeah, because you can run Windows on them. Handy for that. Evan Rogers, another super chat. Thank you very much, sir. You're right. I should wrap this up. So that's what we're going to do. Let's call it another 3 minutes. Duke of Kidderminster, I really hope you've got tomorrow off work. No, I will be leaving my house around 6. It's currently nearly midnight. So yeah, I should probably go to bed. Evan Rogers, peace out, everyone. Work calls again. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much to Sharon as well. M2 will be out soon, same price as M1. Agreed. Right, guys, that's it. We're going to wrap it up there. If you've got any questions for me, hit me up down in the comments. We will answer them, I promise you. And good night. Thank you so much for coming. See you later.